Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Coding Club. Now, first and foremost, I would love to say something. Yeah, if you look at the PHP tutorials, you find out that we have printing to file with PHP 1, printing to file with PHP 2, printing to file with PHP 3, 4, and 5. Because I observe that some of you go to the 5, and then after watching it, and then you go back to 1. And so it kind of gets you confused if you really were not in my class during the concepts that we had. So the thing is, you really need to go and then watch the printing to file PHP 1 before 2, 3, 4, then 5. And I guess from there you understand. So, but one thing I want to show us now is for those of you who may be joining us online, I know some people really say they want to learn the PHP code or program, but they don't know the basics on how to start. And then I think I didn't really make some adjustment on that basics of starting your PHP program. So the first thing I want to tell you about starting or running your PHP program is you have to install something called XAM to your system. XAM, majorly a local server called XAM. So XAM looks something a bit something like this. See the button that says on install XAM? It looks something like this when you down. So just go on google.com and then look for XAM downloads and then just install XAM. Make sure it's compatible with your system. Make sure, I don't know how many there are out there, but I'm kind of used to 32-bit XAM. So make sure you install the XAM that is compatible with your system. So like here I have system type which says 32-bit operating system. So make sure you get XAM that is in line with this 32-bit. Otherwise, if you have 64-bit, you don't really need to worry about it because 32-bit will work on 64, will work on 64-bit. But 64-bit XAM or 64-bit XAM will not work on 32 operating system. So the first thing you do after installing your XAM, just run the XAM. The first thing you do is go back to the XAM and then open up the XAM control panel. That's after you're done installing the XAM. So take all the processes, install the XAM, make sure you install an English. So you run the XAM. The first thing you see is Apache, and then the second thing you see is MySQL. So the first thing I want you to do is to start both my Apache and then MySQL. I would have said start only MySQL, but I think for now just become versatile to start both. So start both my Apache and MySQL. And look here, I'm going to minimize, not going to close the button. I'm going to minimize just the first thing, and then so that I'll have a little space to do some other stuff. So the next thing I want you to be aware of is you really need to know the parts that you installed your XAM. You really need to know the part you installed your XAM. So that you installed your XAM, but it's not enough. You should know the part that the XAM was installed. And the one way to figure out is go back to our Explorer, File Explorer, or our libraries, whatever it's called. Then you go to your local disk, depending on where you install the XAM. So you can go there. So, but normally, usually, XAM is installed by default in your local disk and program files. But right here, I can see my XAM immediately after my local disk. See, so I can open that and then look at my HD docs. This is where I save my scripts, my HD doc, and you can see by default we have something called index.php. So what I can do now is to right click on the index of PHP. I can say edit with notepad++, and there goes fine. This is okay. Go ahead, say all the scripts here. If blah blah blah. So all right. Yeah, just looking at the script. So right here we don't really need this. we don't really need this for anything. So you can go ahead and get rid of this code that is here, and plus this. You don't want to do something wrong with them, so get rid of that. So the first thing you must understand is make sure this PHP tag, this opening tag for my PHP and the closing tag for the PHP is intact. Please make sure that is intact. So don't get rid of it. If you get rid of any of this, your PHP program would not work. Please, caution, don't get rid of any of this. In case you started your PHP and it wasn't there, you can go back and type this exactly the way you see it. And then one thing I want you to understand is my PHP code is actually saved with something called index.php. So this is my index.php. I think that's from it's my index.php. So no, I can save you what I want, but it must make sure it ends with .php as an extension. So yeah, so the first thing this is the way you can run your PHP program. I don't know how else you want to do it. I don't know what else you want to do there, but this is how you run your PHP program. So you can do all manner of things that you want. You can do things like echo, probably maybe echo 2, and you save the work, and then you can go back to run your PHP code, probably with your, I think all I have here is Explorer. That's old version, but yeah, you have to just be with that. So even if you don't see it here, Internet Explorer, so I can click Internet Explorer. Wow, so my PHP codes appears in the same format. This is not what it's supposed to display, right? So what I'm going to do is, since I'm running this from my XAMPP hc docs then slash index.php, so I'm going to go ahead to change this from here to localhost, and then run the script. So it's place 2 on the screen. This is how you run your PHP code. Alright guys, I think this is very nice intro to how you start off your PHP programs. Have a nice day, and tune up to my next tutorial. I think we'll be talking about loops or something. So thank you very much, and remain blessed.